Hey there, how are you guys doing? I hope you're having a wonderful holiday season, as are we. Erin is here with me today. We have all 9 children, 6 grandchildren, 4 of the 5 in-laws, and soon we'll have the grandparents, great-grandparents too. But anyway, this is our week to be together, and we're just really enjoying each other and the time we have. But our time with you today is devoted to a very simple preparation that I keep on hand most of the time. I don't like to run out of it. And that is a simple solution, which I've talked about some in the past. I've talked about making mirepoix ahead of time and keeping it refrigerated. And of course, I have that ready now. But also, I make this really important healing, gut healing, anti-inflammatory culinary preparation that comes from Ayurvedic, ancient Chinese medicine, and other Asian medicines. Remember, food is medicine. Food is supposed to be medicine. It's supposed to nourish our bodies and our souls, but it also is supposed to heal. So if we know what things that our bodies need to heal, then we can use food as medicine. Now, I believe that we have everything right in our backyard that we need. I know that I have things like bloodroot and black cohosh and all kinds of berries and seeds, black walnuts and things like that. But today we're going to talk about these typical Asian healing foods that combine together to make a preparation that you can use for curry, for stir fries, and for just about anything. I even just add it to bone broth and sip on it. It is anti-inflammatory. It is soothing and healing to the gut. It's just all around very good for us. That preparation consists of garlic, turmeric, and ginger, all softened, sauteed, and preserved in ghee. Not butter, but ghee. So first we're going to look at the turmeric and the ghee that I have growing. I have garlic growing outside, but I will not harvest it right now because it's only about 2 months into its growing season. But I keep turmeric and ginger growing indoors year round. Now in the spring, once it gets warm enough, I'll set some out into the garden plot and let it grow until fall, and it will get very large and produce significant amounts of ginger and turmeric. But because I use it year-round, I keep some growing year-round indoors. I have some actually in a window box out of my kitchen that's facing into this space that we're so fortunate to have. But down here in this pot, I have turmeric and ginger. So you'll notice the pot is not terribly deep. I actually have some also in a much shallower pot than this. I like to have a shallow pot because the roots do not go deep. And so you want to keep the soil just evenly moist. You don't want the roots to dry out because all of the water has gone deep. So a fairly shallow pot to start with. And then a very loose but rich soil mixture. So turmeric and ginger grow in tropics and subtropic climates. I'm just going to move this piece aside that got uprooted, unfortunately, but I'll stick it back in and I think it will grow. I started my turmeric and ginger in just this shallow pot with loose soil. I mixed some sand into it, and I actually should mix even more. So my next go round, I'll add some more sand because you want the soil to be nice and loose. And I start out with ginger and turmeric from the farm stand or the grocery store. You want to find only organic, so it is not irradiated or sprayed. You want for the root to be fresh looking, not shriveled and dried. And then the other thing that I look for is little nodules. So let me see here. First let me show you. This did not get watered for several weeks while I was out of town. So it's looking a little brown, but it's coming back to life, and the stems are very pliable and fresh looking again. So this will brighten up pretty quickly. But this, I want you to know, is turmeric. It has a larger leaf, and again, this should be green. It should not be shriveled. I can't complain, because if I go out of town for a week or two and nobody waters my plants, it's nobody's fault but my own. Fortunately, this is somewhat resilient. It's coming back. But this larger leaf is from the turmeric root, which is smaller than the ginger root, which has narrow leaves. So the ginger root surprisingly has thin, small leaves. The turmeric, the smaller of the roots, has large leaves. I'm going to harvest some right now. Let me see here. It should be fairly easy to dig up. Now here's a piece of turmeric that I just put in there, and we may use it today anyway, some of it. It has little nodules, and the nodules were fresh looking. They were sort of translucent, not wet, but they looked like they were just ready to bud out. So that's what a turmeric root should look like in the soil. But again, this I just started, and I'm only putting it just under the soil level and then covering it lightly. Here, let's see what we can pull up here. Ooh, this is a large one. Oh, that's a good piece of ginger, but it's a piece of a much larger. Let's see if I can find it. This one is embedded. This has grown. I'm starting my ginger with little pieces. This was one larger piece, and it's attached to more down below. And this sprouted off of this. So all of this was one piece at one point in time, just a small piece, and there's more of it down here. So I just keep breaking it, which is fine. You can see there is a root going down, but it doesn't go deep. I'll again just lay this flat in here and cover it up. And I'm going to go ahead and do it without. Put that one back in. And I'm going to put this one back in and let it continue to grow. So we'll just use a couple of these for now. There's that turmeric. Let me try to pull up. Yes, I broke the stem off, but it will always regenerate. So here's a nice rhizome of turmeric. You can see the nodules here. When I talked a moment ago about selecting roots from the store that have nice fresh nodules, this is what I mean. So this was just a small piece of turmeric. I mean, this much, but it had a little nodule, so I stuck it in the soil. And I'm going to put it right back in there, and it's going to send up another shoot. It will just keep on going. Likewise, there's a lot down under. There's a lot more that I can harvest right now. And from time to time, this is what I'll do. If I am out of ginger or turmeric in the kitchen, I'll just come out and harvest more. This piece is going well. And it started from this piece, and it's growing outward and somewhat downward. I'm going to put this back in also and let it keep growing, because I don't really need it right now. All right, I am going to be making ginger beer later this afternoon, and I'll use some of this for that. So you don't want to crowd. This whole container, I could just feel as I dig, it is filling up with root. So soon I'll probably go ahead and split it up in another and more shallow container. So there we go. I'll just take these pieces of ginger in, and we'll work with it. And I'll use this piece of turmeric as well. But I think I'll put this one back. It's not that you can't kill it, but it's difficult as long as it is kept just evenly moist, not drying out too much, it will grow. Okay, now, here,
I'll take the ginger.
I'm getting old, it's harder to get up off the ground. Okay, I'm going to stick this in water and see if we can't get another plant out of it. As I said, my family is very blessed. We bought a house 8.5 years ago that needed to be gutted and completely redone and hadn't been lived in. And that's the kind of thing my husband can do. So we have a neat atrium and it's a perfect growing space.
Yeah, we got all the grandkids.
Well,
Or most of them.
5 of them. One of them is here. Here's the 6th one.
Here's little Jackson.
He's not very personable yet. Okay, now I'm just going to rinse off my hands.
Sorry, you gotta rinse your ginger.
I better rinse this off. Rinse or wipe. It is pretty dirty, so I'm going to rinse. Okay. Now I want to talk, as I'm getting ready here, about why we do this and why we use what we use to make this preparation. We start with ghee, which is like the ultimate medicinal base for anything food as medicine. It is mostly saturated fat, which is very good for us. It has some monosaturated fats as well. It has all of our essential fatty acids in the proper proportion. Omega-3s to omega-6s and 9s. We tend to be way overloaded on 9s in the standard American diet, and even too high in omega-6s. But ghee has the perfect ratio, and it has within it fat-soluble vitamins, including fully formed true vitamin A, vitamin K, and vitamin D. Now, while it does not have a large amount of vitamin K, it does have a good amount that helps us in many ways. Vitamin A, of course, is needed for healing, for eyesight, for symmetry, for along with the fatty acids, assimilation of calcium, phosphorus, and magnesium and such to build strong bones. As a matter of fact, I just read a study done by, I believe, the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, if I recall correctly, that looked at almost 2,600 individuals. They looked at their diet, and they found that those who had, oh no, my notes are out in the atrium. We're going to circle back to that because I want to get it right. I had it right in my head. We'll come back to that. Anyway, ghee has the A, D, K, E, essential fatty acids. It is rich in butyric acid and conjugated linoleic acid, CLA. It's always a mouthful to say those words. Both of which are anti-inflammatory and healing and very good for gut health. And then you need the fat-soluble vitamins to incorporate the minerals, like I mentioned, with calcium and phosphorus and all of that to build strong and healthy bones. It was bone density. I remember the study done by the American Journal of Clinical Nutritionists looked at 2,600 individuals, just a few less, and they looked at their diets and they found that those who had diets low in butyric and conjugated linoleic acid, I believe, had weak bones. Their bone density was greatly decreased. Well, this helps us to build strong bones because it has everything in it that we need for building strong bones, minus the calcium, phosphorus, and all of that. We need to get that from other foods, and then this will help us to make those foods, those nutrients, bioavailable. All right, so garlic is anti-inflammatory. Garlic is antifungal, antiviral, antimicrobial. And so it is a very important tool in my tool chest for healing. And that can be for healing topically and internally. By the way, ghee is also good for healing topically because it's rich in vitamin A in particular. So if you have a wound like a burn, you can use that topically. But I oftentimes will just crush a clove of garlic and rub it on. I had somebody around who had ringworm and I rubbed it on and the ringworm went away. Someone just told me the other day that they rubbed raw garlic on another kind of a skin infection and it cleared up. We've used it for a multitude of topical things that way. It's just, this is all I do. I take 1 clove of garlic and I smash it usually with a jar and peel it. And then you can do anything you want or need with it. But of course, just rubbing it on your skin is helpful. I had something just the other week. I think I had cut myself and I rubbed a little garlic on it and it healed up very quickly without any incident. So we're going to take the benefits of the garlic and then turmeric, which we always hear about curcumin, which is an important component of the turmeric. Curcumin is helpful for a multitude of things. It's even good for weight loss, for decreasing body fat and increasing your overall physique. Curcumin is also anti-inflammatory and gut healing. But we don't want just straight curcumin. Remember that God always put things together in a package. We don't want to deconstruct the package and use isolated components. We want to use the whole food because God put everything together just perfectly. That includes the turmeric. We don't take supplements that are curcumin. I'd rather just do turmeric whole and fresh. And then garlic, ginger. Man, this is a potent little root. It is anti-inflammatory. It is antimicrobial. It helps heal the gut. There are a multitude of medicinal properties in this little root. But you put these 3 things together along with the ghee, and the one last ingredient is freshly ground black pepper. Now I'm going to reach over here. The black pepper contains pepperine, which enhances the benefits of everything else. But you want freshly ground pepper because once you've ground it, it oxidizes. Now, I feel like I'm going to sneeze because I'm breathing in pepper. This actually is freshly ground pepper that is immediately put into small sealed bags so I can just take out a little bit at a time. So I'm not going to grab my pepper mill right now, although I do have one, but this I just took out of the bag, so I know it's fine. Okay, so do we peel our turmeric and our ginger? No, not really. I'll take a little bit of the rough stuff off, but I believe that every part of this root is medicinal, so I don't want to take away any part of it other than the yucky looking dirty part that I'm not going to get clean anyway. The same with the ginger. And when I make this preparation, normally I use significantly more, maybe 4 times the amount that I'm going to work with today. But I'm just going to take these 2 pieces of ginger and this piece of turmeric, it's roughly the same, and I'll use 2 cloves of garlic, or 4, because garlic is good. Okay, I'm going to smash my garlic, and I have a box grater for this. Now, before I start grating, I'm going to turn the pan on low. I don't want to cook this. I am simply trying to warm it, just soften the ginger, the garlic, the turmeric, just soften it in the ghee, let the ghee meld with all of the good things. So I'm going to use about 1 cup of ghee. Oops, things happen. There we go. Get that back. And of course I'm using my favorite ghee. Simply Ghee and Pure Indian Foods Ghee are the only two that I ever use. They're both from grass-fed, clean animals. And when I say grass-fed, I don't mean in a factory eating hay. I mean that they're pastured and rotationally grazed. So you get all of the unique nutrients that you don't get from regular butter or anything from the store pretty much. Now, what is the difference between ghee and butter, and why do we use this instead? There are several reasons. One is it increases the butteriness. You get a lot more butter flavor from ghee because it's concentrated. And in the simmering, clarifying process, it creates a fuller, nuttier flavor anyway. But ghee is lacking the lactose and the casein, the two things that people who tend to have dairy problems have the problems with. So they're not, I don't know anyone and have never heard of anyone who has ever had a problem with butyric acid or conjugated linoleic acid or any of those good things, just the lactose or the casein. So ghee is good even for people who can't normally tolerate dairy. I've literally never heard of someone who had any kind of food allergies or intolerances that didn't benefit from ghee. So we've got that warming up. And I will mince the garlic. Let me set this aside. I'll get the others quickly grated, and then I will mince the garlic. Okay. I said 4, so let me grab the 4th. Okay. This, by the way, is the finished product. I keep this in the refrigerator, and then sometimes for breakfast I make my husband some eggs cooked in chicken broth, and I add a scoop of this. And it is, again, anti-inflammatory, so it's really good for him. But it's also is full of flavor. So this is my base for curry, in addition to the curry spices as well, and other things. And that one, I actually also added some lemongrass. I put a couple stalks of lemongrass in it. All right, so we grate. And again, I did not peel because I want all of the goodness of the turmeric. There's no reason that you can't use the peel. If you really don't want to, then peel it. But just like with eating an apple, even the core of the apple is good for us. It has nutrients, including a trace amount of arsenic, just the amount that our bodies actually need. Some of that's falling out, so I'm just going to stick it in there. Okay, let me use up these pieces that I started the other day. I think I know why it's, yep, I forgot. There, put that in the correct direction, and then don't worry about every little bit. It will get soft anyway. So some of these small pieces, I'm not willing to cut my hands up to get every little piece. Move some of this off of here just to make it easier. Okay. Ginger. Ginger, of course, is also really good to help settle an upset stomach. So, of course, you've heard of ginger tea. I sometimes make ginger and peppermint tea. I snipped some fresh mint from out front. It grows almost year-round here. I actually have gloves that I usually wear when I'm doing this so that I don't scrape myself up like I just did. Okay, a little bit more ginger. Okay, I'm going to put those pieces in there too. Just don't want to lose anything that I don't have to. I tend to use about twice as much ginger as turmeric.
It smells so good.
It does smell good, doesn't it? And it's going to taste even better. I have chili for dinner tonight. It's already made, thawing, and it just has to warm. But I'm also going to do a quick curry just because I'm hungry for it. So I sharpened my knives last night, and I'm going to be real careful here, but since I smashed these cloves, it's a little bit more difficult to mince. But that's okay. So I've got it this way, and then there's some garlic. And the rest of this stuff. Okay. This is my favorite knife, by the way. It is the Carry from Henkel's. It was designed for Christopher Kimball's Milk Street. And now they're having a different one made by another knife maker, but I like this one. So there we go. And the last thing that I'll add is to that amount about a teaspoon of black pepper. Okay.
Would you ever add salt to this or just the pepper?
Sometimes I do add the salt, but usually no, because I want to add the salt as I'm making whatever dish I'm making in the right proportions. So I generally do not put the salt in there. But once it's here, all that we're doing is letting it soften. And then, it's just like with mirepoix. If you do this ahead of time and keep it in the refrigerator, you don't have to cook it, saute this portion first. You can just throw it in because it's already soft. It's already, the flavors have already infused. So
if you were making like a pot of soup, like how much would you put in for a pot of soup?
if I were making a half gallon of soup, I would use a quarter cup. I would use about a quarter cup.
Mm-hmm.
But you can, of course, taste. I usually have spoons on hand as I'm cooking, so I, take a spoon and dip and taste it. If it needs more of something, I toss more in. But 1/4 cup for a half gallon is a good place to start.
And then what else would you add it to?
Again, just broth, curries, stir fries. It can go as a part of the filling for a dumpling or a roll.
Would you put it in eggs?
Yes, I would put it in eggs. It's really good in eggs. So is the mirepoix. Let me grab the mirepoix.
And could you also just eat spoonfuls of it?
You can eat spoonfuls, definitely. I'm not going to get the mirepoix because it's buried behind all of the food that is waiting to be consumed. But I always have chicken stock and or beef stock in the refrigerator. So I can just put this stock into a little pan and add a tablespoon or two of this, and then we'll have lunch or breakfast or a snack. I'm just going to turn this off because
Yeah,
you really don't have to.
I know we use this in your healing breakfast soup recipe, so I'll link the video for that because that's a really
That's
good,
one of my favorites.
such a good recipe.
Yeah. So that's it. It's as simple as that. I'll let it cool a little bit and I'll pour it in another jar like this. And then I'll have it ready for whenever I need it. The natives are getting restless and it's holiday week. We're having a birthday party for 3-year-old Brooks this evening, and I have my brined chicken that we're going to roast, and I'm going to make some homemade mac and cheese because everybody loves that, and roasted Brussels sprouts, and who knows what else. So I'm going to call this one a short video today, which is probably welcome. Sometimes we go really long. And we're going to sign off for now, but Erin and I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in, and we really wish upon you a wonderful, blessed new year. Celebrate safely, but celebrate, and wrap your arms around your loved ones and let them know that they're loved. And look for us next week. We have some really exciting things lining up for January, including an interview about fats with Sally Fallon Morell on the 31st of January. We're talking with Lily from Hearth and Homestead about ancient skincare on January 10th. And next week, refresh my memory. Next week we are doing.
I think next week we're doing how you meal prep for.
Oh yeah, we're going to talk about meal prep. Okay, and this is part of that, but we're going to talk about meal prep to make life easier while making it healthier and tastier as well. But we're also lining up some really cool interviews with more people that I won't say yet, but I'm really excited about. So thank you for tuning in today. Keep on tuning in, please, and please do like and subscribe. We have to say that. Anyway, come back and thank you so much. And we'll see you next week.